Welcome to my second edition of my NBA MVP rankings. Again, for those who are just discovering this video and did not watch my first edition of the MVP rankings, of course I go off my own criteria. I also rank the MVP candidates based on their play up to this point in the season, not based on in the future. I broke it down into 4 chunks. I did the first 22 games of the season, and now we're at the halfway point. Everybody's played about 42 games, so I'm going to give my second edition right here, then my third edition around the 60 game mark, and then of course the final MVP rankings after the regular season is over, the fourth and final one. And just to repeat again, my rankings are based on play so far this season, not based on future projections, because, unfortunately, one of the MVP candidates on my list is going to miss a month. And so that means probably by the time my third edition of my MVP rankings come out, he's going to slide down the list. I also factor in the surrounding talent around said MVP candidate. I also factor in winning. That's big to me because, again, why are we playing the sport if winning isn't important? But I also factor in winning in the context of this might be the deepest in terms of talent the league has ever seen. Also, the candidates themselves, how big they are, how great they are offensively, but also defensively as well. That all factors in. It's all one big mishmash of a formula, and there's a lot of good MVP candidates this year, but, some from the last list, like Steph and Curry, for example, aren't going to be in my top 5 this time around just because he missed about a month and the Warriors are still hovering around 500 to this point. I'm not really worried about the Warriors, and some candidates have jumped above them. I didn't have Luka on my MVP rankings last time because when I did the video, when it was the 22 game mark, the Mavericks were below 500 after a loss to the Detroit Pistons. And, of course, my ranking is going to change in this video. So let's just get right to it. Number 1, I have Nikola Jokic, and the Denver Nuggets are rolling right now. They have the best offensive rating in the NBA, and of course, Jokic is the orchestrator behind all of that. He's about 0.3 assists away from averaging a triple-double, and not only that, an efficient triple-double. He's shooting a ludicrous 61% from the field. And while his defense early on in the season was looking like early career Jokic, he has firmly got back to the average, do your job, work well in the scheme guy, and he's not, a sieve like he was at the beginning of the year, because the last 2 years he's actually been, fine on defense, but to start the year I didn't think he was good at all, but now he's kind of rounded back into form. And not only that, he's shooting damn near, like I said, 62% from the field, 66% on 2-pointers, which is just obscene. The Denver Nuggets have the best record in the Western Conference. He is the orchestrator behind the Nuggets' best offensive rating in the NBA. And I've always been of the thought that voter fatigue was absolutely stupid. You rank MVPs based on that particular season. It's a regular season award. Yes, I know narrative factors into it too, and it makes these awards fun to talk about and to look back on historically 15 years from now, but you have to go season by season. I don't care that Jokic might be on the verge of three-peating. Giannis should have been on the verge of three-peating. That was held against him a few years back before he won the title. It is a regular season award. If you want to factor in playoffs, just make the MVP a year-long award so that way playoffs could matter. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. The MVP is a regular season award, and as it stands right now, Jokic is having a better and more efficient season than he did last year. He has taken another jump offensively and in efficiency, and he's rounded back to being a fine defender. I have him number 1 right now. Now, number 2, this one really stinks. Well, not the selection itself, but it just stinks that Kevin Durant is going to miss a month with an MCL sprain, or he's going to be reevaluated in 2 weeks. That doesn't mean he's coming back. It looks like he's going to miss a month. And Kevin Durant was just awesome this year. The fact that he was doing this at 34 years old is just, it's mind-blowing. He's averaging nearly 30 points per game on damn near 56% from the field, 62% on twos, and not only that, he was playing the best defense of his career, and that includes his run at Golden State where he was also very good defensively. The Nets were a tire fire to start the year, and they have won 18 out of their last 21 games, and Kevin Durant was the centerpiece as to why. The centerpiece as to why the Nets' defensive rating kept improving, because he has been arguably their best defender. Well, you can also make a case for Nick Claxton, but Kevin Durant has been the fulcrum in the Nets' turnaround, why they are second in the Eastern Conference, and just his two-way play, on top of the fact that on the offensive end is just it's actually not one of, it's the most efficient season of his career, is just incredible. And like I said, by the time my third edition of my MVP rankings comes out, Kevin Durant is probably going to drop precipitously as other MVP candidates get more games in. But we're doing the present, we're doing right now, and at this point, 40 to 42 games into the season, Kevin Durant is second on my list. Third, I have Jason Tatum, and Jason Tatum has kind of dropped a bit for me. One, because the Celtics kind of teetered for a little bit right after my first MVP video came out, and also his efficiency has kind of dropped, but he's still really good, averaging 30 points per game. He is the best player on the best team in the NBA. The Celtics have actually rounded out their defense. They are now back in the top 7 in terms of defensive rating per cleaning the glass, and they are still uber efficient offensively. They're still top 3. And again, like I said in the last video, we love to take a gander at the leap from bad to good or bad to very good. We never take into account the leap from good to the best or good to historically good. Early on in the season, the Celtics were on a historic pace. Right now, they have been playing really well recently. They still have the best record in the NBA, and Jason Tatum is the key reason why. If he was not on the Celtics, and I don't care what the net rating says, because the Celtics actually have a positive net rating when he's off the court, the Celtics net rating jumps to historically good levels when Jason Tatum is on the court, and I take that into account still. But because the other two candidates above him have been putting up historic numbers efficiently on really good teams that are also winning, the efficiency and the numbers they are putting up, and the fact that they are just better players and have had better years, they are above Tatum for me. Number 4, I have Giannis, and the fact that the Bucks are still only a half a game behind the Brooklyn Nets for the 2 seed and only 3.5 games in back of the Celtics for the 1 seed, despite the Bucks teetering a little bit recently, is incredible to me. The Bucks still have a top 2 defense. Now, their offense, it stinks to high heaven right now, but there's a reason for that. Well, there's a few reasons for that, but a main reason is the combination of Drew Holiday, Chris Middleton, Brook Lopez, and Giannis have played 45 minutes together so far this year. Drew Holiday keeps getting sick for some reason. Chris Middleton has been in and out of the lineup with knee injuries and recovering from wrist surgery in the offseason, and Giannis is still averaging 31 and 12 and 5 assists on 52% shooting, and he is still one of the best defensive players in the NBA. The fact that he is doing this, and again, this is where the factoring team context comes in, the fact that Giannis is doing it without his 2 best players and Drew Holiday is just coming back for a few games now, is incredible considering where the Bucks are. They are 3rd in the Eastern Conference, like I said. They are right behind the Brooklyn Nets and not that far off from the number 1 seed in the Eastern Conference, which means they are not far off from the best record in the NBA. And Giannis's two-way ability is still very important to the Bucks. He's been grabbing rebounds like crazy recently, facilitating. I am a little worried about, the efficiency of his scoring, because it's not what we've been used to seeing from Giannis for the last 4 years, but he's still shooting damn near 52.5% from the field while still averaging a career high in points and, almost 12 rebounds a game while doing it on both ends of the court. So Giannis is number 4 for me. And number 5, I know it's going to piss a lot of Luka fans off, a lot of Mavericks fans off. And I mean, I've had a tough time. The hairs that I had to split between, candidates 3 through 5 were really difficult. But I still have Luka number 5. He jumped up from, I had him 6th in my last video. The Mavericks are finally above 500. They're not in the play-in. They're 5 games above 500. And yes, Luka has had to carry this team. He does so much for them. It's clear that they miss Jalen Brunson because Luka is just out there basically damn near by himself. And not by himself. I don't want to do that because Christian Wood has been really good lately. And yes, if you want to move Luka up your MVP rankings because of the carrying he's doing, I mean, the Mavs are 6th in offensive rating per cleaning the glass, which is just absolutely incredible. You go for it. You put him up there. Like, I had Luka as high as 3rd, and then I factored in that Giannis, plays both ends of the floor. Tatum is still the best player on the best team, and he's doing it on both ends of the floor. Luka is solid defensively, but he is not the defender that Giannis and Tatum are, but he's, clearly a better offensive player than Tatum. The winning factors in for me here. The fact that Luka does have the Mavericks at 24-19 with the roster they have is incredible, and it's why he's up here, and he's why I had him as high as 3rd. But with all the other stuff factored in, well, one, my top 2 are locked in for sure. But, the winning and, the other side of the ball where Tatum and Giannis are just a little bit better while they're also putting up great offensive seasons themselves, puts them just over the edge for Luka for me. Luka, once again, he has a case to be in the top 3, but for me personally, I have him top 5, and if you don't like it, well, that's on you. If you actually want to leave some basketball reasons as to why you disagree with me, feel free to leave a comment below, but if you're just going to send a wall of text of just rage, I'm just going to ignore you. I'm just going to let you know straight up. But I have Luka number 5 right now. He's probably definitely going to move up because, again, the carrying he is doing is incredible. I just think the other 2 above him have just been a little more impressive to me. And also the fact that they have their teams at the very top of the league, which, again, I factor in the jump from good to very good or historically good, just as much as I factor in jumps from bad to good or just straight carrying somebody on their back. So that is my volume 2 of my MVP rankings. Stay tuned for around game 60, game 62 or whatever. I'm going to drop my 3rd edition. And then again, I'll have the final version when the season's over. Until then, I'll see you next time.